Why are women women? Why do men prefer certain types of women? Who chooses their mate, men or women? In order to understand that, we have to look at what was happening in primitive times. First, before I start talking about alpha males and beta males, it should be understood that neither actually exist in regards to men. The alpha male idea comes from the world of the apes. Pickup artists started this alpha male nonsense while trying to pump up their fans and sell books, videos, and promote seminars. The big, great ape, with his harem of females who mate with the biggest kahuna on the block. However, the alpha ape does not act as a protector or provider for the females. He's just a really big brute that satisfies the female's instinctive sexual drive. Despite popular beliefs, humans did not evolve from apes, but rather we shared a common ancestor going way back. Dynamics between men and women are far different than those of the apes. Sorry to disappoint the ignorant, but men did most of the choosing when it came to selecting a mate. Now, if we go back about 100,000 years, we find that humans were just getting good at making tools and for the first time creating art. With few resources, each man had to be selective in who they would pair up with, and could only provide for only a few women at best. Men had to select a woman that was available and that wouldn't upset their fellow hunters. Women were traded within the group or traded with other tribes, much like the old Native American Indians. In times when resources were low, the woman would kill their newborn children, like the Eskimos, who would lay the child out on the ice and fill its mouth with snow. Paralleling the feminist fight for legalization of abortion when having a child may be inconvenient for the woman. There is also evidence that primitive men must have even traded with Neanderthals and earlier offshoots of the species, shown in the fossilized bones of hybrids. The way I see it, men only kept the best breeding stock that they could afford. The other women were either passed around the boys or traded off. If a man became dissatisfied with an annoying spouse, then he'd make a trade. I'm sure a few animal furs would have more than satisfied him. In the meantime, the woman would often have sex with their choice of males on the sly, while those males would have to decide whether or not she was worth copulating with, at the risk of getting their heads bashed in by some angry man. This led to the provider male caring for about half of the children that weren't his. Not to say that the females didn't have a degree of choice when it came to selecting a spouse. Obviously, the male would prefer a compliant woman that would be more willing to pair up and mate with him, so he'd see that she was interested, and only if he was interested, he would make an offer to the father or holder of a few animal skins, simple tools, and spears. I'm sure that would have been considered a good trade for all parties, and all would be well with the world. So now, why did women evolve in the direction they did, from brute to beauty? Imagine a carnivorous female, the same size and weight as the male, who got upset with him. If you consider the current cases of domestic violence, and that women are responsible for a significant amount of it, and in most cases instigated, then there's no need to imagine further. Unlike men compared to women, women do not have a protector instinct towards men. A heavyweight female would have been a dangerous threat to a man, particularly at that certain time of the month. If she ended up injuring or killing him, then who would provide for the kids? She might be able to afford one kid, but what would happen when more came along? So then, what happened was that primitive men who preferred more feminine females would be more likely to survive having a spouse, and therefore be more likely to sire more children in the long run. And the feminine females, who preferred the best protectors, caregivers, and providers, had more kids that thrived and survived. Needed provision from men made it necessary for a woman to stay in the relationship. Men were mainly responsible for creating the human female we see today, through selective breeding. Women, unlike flat-chested female apes, evolved permanently enlarged breasts, rounded figures expressive of fertility, and mannerisms that elicited sexual and personal attraction from men. Bonding and loyalty helped the relationship that evolved into woman to some degree, but were never necessary, since woman needed provision directly from the man. In these modern times, women still require provision. However, they have many more options than in the past. They can work, or stick with a provider, or simply abandon a relationship knowing that money and support payments will certainly keep coming in, with the muscle of Big Daddy, the state, to assure their unjustified exploitation of men, creating an unnatural gross imbalance. This also allows women the choice to satisfy their sexual desires by freely having liaisons with any number of men they select. And there's enough men out there who will still shag anything that moves. In the past 1,000 years or so, men and women have been more or less equal when it comes to mate selection. But these modern influences have caused a dramatic shift in the who chooses who question, and has given women a big edge. When it comes to evolution, everything could work out, except that women have shown a remarkably immature poor judgment in who they're having sex with. If things continue the way they are, the end result will be a population of bad boy type thugs with no interest in providing, and self-centered provision grasping females who have run out of providers, and men who have just given up on the whole damn crazy game and gone their own way.